welcome to What the Flick Reviews Agent Carter. We're starting with season 2, and by we, I mean myself, Kim Horcher, and Meredith Placko. Hopefully Alonzo and Bibbs will join us later. They are currently at Sundance. So we're starting this review series with season 2, episode 1, Lady of the Lake. So between the two of us, this is the first episode I've ever seen of Agent Carter.
Really?
Though you stuck on with season 1. So all I had to get familiar with who's going on and who these people are, what are they doing, was that quick montage at the beginning of the episode that said previously on Agent Carter.
That works.
But also, you know, a general Marvel knowledge database.
You watched Captain America: The First Avenger, right? So you know who Peggy Carter is.
Sure, I know who Peggy is. I don't quite understand who these people are around her, but I have an idea.
Well, the important thing is it's Peggy Carter, and it is the Peggy Carter show, so that is what counts.
So I really enjoyed her relationship with Jarvis, and I enjoyed Jarvis's wife, though I hear this is the first time we've seen her appear.
We actually weren't quite sure if she was even real or not up until this point. She was kind of this voice that he answered to on the phone, kind of this, you know, like, who is she? Is she? But come on. What is Tony Tony's father concocting behind the scenes? Howard. And, but no, Jarvis's wife is real and in the flesh, and she's adorable. I love her so much. She's a spitfire.
So I hope you can tell me more about what who these characters are as we go on, but I have a general knowledge. I did notice a couple names. What was it? The wife of that politician. She's Madame Mask, right?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
She as far as most of the characters are concerned, she's actually one of the only real ones you need to worry about right now from the comic books.
Okay.
Jarvis, Peggy Carter, and Madame Mask are the main comic book characters that are being pulled out from the comics into the TV show. A lot of the others haven't really, you know, if they are, they're minor characters or they're created just for the show.
So we're working off Dottie. Was she created for this show?
Yes.
Okay, so Dottie, we open up on her. Yeah. She's doing the iconic Agent Carter red hat and a sea of gray coated men.
The thing with Dottie is she kind of, you know, it was a tie-in to the whole widow program that we kind of saw explored.
Oh, yeah.
In
that's
Avengers 2.
interesting.
Yeah, and it was kind of from the forefront of that. And her whole thing was she's a little unhinged, and she kind of threatened when we saw her last at the end of Agent Carter season 1. We saw her saying like, well, I could just go and be you next. And it was nice to see that storyline with Dottie cleared up at the beginning of this season, because it was a little like loose end that they left hanging because she escaped. So
we don't think Dottie, will she be a returning figure?
I think she's going to play. I mean, we saw her carted off.
We see her with Jack and having her own issues. I did like that East Coast West Coast split.
I agree. Yeah, I think we're going to see her play a minor part of a bigger storyline, but it really does seem like they're making Madame Mask to be the main villain.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also, I think he's new again. Not familiar. Wilkes, Dr. Wilkes, from the other
from
Isodyne. There we go.
Yeah. I could be wrong. I'm not super familiar with Wilkes. I actually do think he does have some comic ties. I would have to go Marvel Wikia that, because some of the more Avengers tie-in stuff is less my familiarity.
There are a lot of less major characters that you'd have. I mean, I had a second take on like Madame Mask's name, which I believe her last name was Frost.
Whitney Frost.
And I thought, wait, who?
Yeah.
Familiar.
Yeah.
Who is this? And I had to go look it up.
Exactly. Yeah. And in the comics, I'm really happy they're making Whitney Frost's story in the film or in the TV show different from in the comics. She's a character I absolutely cannot stand in the comics. I really, every time she pops up, I just...
Any relation to Emma Frost?
I wish.
No.
No, actually, I don't wish, because I hate Madame Mask. She's just very tiresome in the comics. I don't like her, and I think what they're doing in the TV show is really interesting. They're changing the character. They're obviously putting her in a very different era.
Well, I mean, from what I hear, a lot of what Agent Carter has to deal with is kind of finding her own place as not just in a British person in America, but a woman in a very heavily male centric workplace, and I feel like that's happening with the other tertiary female characters
I
as
agree.
well.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of bringing in female characters that might not have had extensive storylines and backgrounds in the comics and bringing, revitalizing them in the TV show. And the thing with Madame Mask is a lot of her character is centered around her strange love obsession with Tony Stark in the comics. And,
So I guess that's going to be supplanted to Howard Stark at this point.
Possibly, or they might just ignore that altogether.
Okay.
I mean, I really, I don't know how they're going to do it. I haven't seen, I don't have any like inside knowledge of how the show's going. I don't know if she maybe really loves the husband she's with right now. That she tends to be a very femme fatale character that hooks up with people based on what she wants out of them. But this could be very different. This could just be a completely different version of the Madame Mask that we know. I do know that I've read in interviews we're not going to see her in that the golden mask.
Okay.
So, which she got from after having her face burned off.
So that'll be fun to see someone focused on her looks, have her face burned off eventually.
Yeah.
But moving on to the meat of this episode, the main case they're working around is the lady in the lake.
Yes.
This murder spree, and then there seems to be something extraordinary going on. What do you have any insight of what's going on? Why this corpse is causing things to freeze? What this substance is at the end that Wilkes is looking at?
This all seems to tie into it all tied back into that the local cop, the local detective. He somehow was causing all of this through some sort of pheromone or chemical that I wonder if it doesn't all tie back to iodine, which really interesting there because not to jump right to the end there, but we see Wilkes kind of tinkering with some chemicals, and
I'm a little dubious about Wilkes.
Well, because at the end we see him walk into what was, let's be honest, a really, really, really dirty lab at the end, and then like a containment field of like that weird dark energy that almost kind of reminded me that in Thor 2, remember how that one stone that they were all looking for was like that weird red energy. It started to be like that, and I was like, but wait, if this is some super...
Wait, are we toying with that idea now?
Well, I don't know. I don't think we are. I'm just wondering. I'm just saying that for whatever weird elemental energy that this is, that was a way unsecure and gross lab that should be contained in. Just saying.
I mean, it's
but it
40s, 50s.
It was an interesting dark matter that kind of reminded me of something that we see in Doctor Strange.
Interesting.
And I'm wondering if they're setting up something bigger for Doctor Strange.
It would be the right time to do
so.
I was suspicious of Wilkes kind of right away because the way that she broke into the building, this friendly guy just pops out of nowhere and is like, hey, do you want to have your mind blown with some cute wine?
Yeah, I'm like, is he going to drop her right off the bat? Like, I don't know. He's charming, and I like the character, and I like the actor, and I wonder if they're going to go down this route where they, he might be this bad guy, but might also develop feelings for her. I don't know.
Well, they certainly have a romantic subplot going on.
And now that her relationship with Sosa seems to be completely over, I know. But hey, that's what happens.
I don't know him, so I don't care as much.
So at the end of one of the subtexts of last season was he really had a crush on her, and he finally worked up the confidence to ask her out. And she, having kind of realized I don't need a man, was like, no, maybe we can go out another time. Well, then he got the job and left, and was like, well, I'm not going to wait around for her. And he started dating someone.
Fair.
And then now she's kind of like, oh well, I missed my chance.
So she's been mourning Steve Rogers now, right? But at this point, has she kind of moved on?
Yeah.
And she's thinking maybe I want to get with some new people.
And I think that was kind of it with Sosa, was that she was not really ready to date, and then someone asked her honestly that she liked, and not like a weird hey lady, but he was really genuinely kind about it, and she kind of was not down with that idea because she was still mourning Steve, and then there was a whole huge thing where she finally was able to let go of Steve in the first season.
Maybe I need to go back and
you
watch
should.
that,
You really should. It really does fill in a lot of holes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll need to work on that.
I know.
But we do have a lot of things to consider as we're moving on in this season. This was a 2-part premiere that we did just review only the first episode. So hopefully we'll have episode 2 for you soon. Hopefully our friends Alonzo and Bibbs will join us for that one. Thanks so much for watching, and bye-bye.